Hey, New City, Jim here. And today, in our daily encouragement, I want to talk about fruit. Um, and I'm specifically referring to John chapter 15, where he talks about bearing fruit. I'm sure most are familiar with that, where Jesus says, he appointed us to bear fruit, fruit that will last. And us bearing fruit is something that gives glory to God. And of course, we can connect that so easily to Galatians 5, where it says the fruit of the Spirit is, and then it has the list: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and all those things. So I want to talk briefly about that today, and just acknowledging here at the beginning that I have no doubt you and I have the same desire to see fruit come, good fruit. For instance, the healing of our city and our nation, to see joy in people's lives instead of so much pain and suffering, to see a reconciliation that is actually true and deep and not just superficial, to see people valued, their lives valued, because God created every human being in his image. So these are the things that we desire. And, I think we all know the answer here in terms of how to actually see this fruit come. But just to say it plainly out of John, again, chapter 15, it starts by saying in verse 1, Jesus says, I am the true vine. And a little bit later in verse 5, he says, I am the vine and you are the branches. And, the imagery there is that the branch, and we know this, Jesus talks about, we can't do anything apart from him. And so that branch and that vine, if it's apart, it just withers, it dies. But if it's connected, then this vine gives it everything it needs to produce that fruit. And so just realizing and encouraging all of us that Jesus is the one who has life in himself. He has power and the ability to actually make this fruit happen, this healing, this joy, this authentic, rich reconciliation, to create a place where lives are valued, each life. He has the ability to do that. He can make dry bones become alive, and that's the beauty of him saying, "I am the true vine." And then he talks about remaining in him in that passage, and there is a sense in which he calls us to be active in our union with him. It's not a passive thing. The branch, in this sense, it doesn't just sit there, but there is, for us, we have to be with him. We have to hear his word. And it makes me think of several other places where he talks about the phrase meditate on the law, on the word, day and night. That's in Psalm 1. That's in Joshua chapter 1. There's this active, I want the word in me, I need the word in me, and I'm going to spend my time with Jesus, the word, who became flesh, and he'll produce it. That life that he alone has will then flow into us, that word of righteousness and that is life-giving, then produces these very things that we long for in our city and in our nation. And so really, in the end, what you long for, what I long for, what Jesus is saying here is that you and I are the actual answer for that longing. He creates in us a life an ability to love by his Spirit. He creates in us the fruit of joy of that the world so desperately needs. He creates in us hearts that want a reconciliation that is really heart to heart, that is really not simply looks good from the outside, but is actually human beings who care about the other's interest, as it says in Philippians 2. We are the change, which is why I had that song from Michael Jackson at the beginning, Man in the Mirror, make that change, right? It's you and I looking in the mirror and saying, oh, it's you and I. That's Jesus calling us to bear that fruit. So, and we together as the church, our calling is to be that change so that our city and our nation can see it and experience it. And Jesus, his plan is to very much make this happen, to very much bring us into this active union and to bear fruit and to bring the very things that our hearts are yearning for. So be encouraged, because Jesus is the true vine and he is causing his life to flow into us. And also there's a challenge for us that flows from that to then, as his people, as brothers and sisters in Christ, for us to pursue true, authentic, deep reconciliation and a valuing of one another and seeing a healing take place amongst us and living that out amongst our neighbors. So, Lord bless us, keep us, and use us.